everything we've done so far today has been theoretical, right? You might be in the couch zone a little bit yourself, the exercise, how much do I share, right? Everything we've done so far is theoretical, right? It doesn't exist anywhere, right? You've had a conversation, you might have had some cool insights, right? But actual growth, right? This is on page 1, the career growth cycle. Starts with, having conversations with people, identifying who are those very important people in my world, right? So identifying those strategic people that can support me, having conversations with them about what's possible, about what I can work on, whatever that happens to be, and then actually planning it. You guys talked about having conversations, now I get more information, I can plan, I get more certainty when I can plan, when I get more input on things. So all the things we've done so far have been theoretical. Your career does not exist, as I said before, in your phone, on a sheet. Your career exists in conversations, right? So there are 3 levels of existence. There's 3 levels of existence. The first level of existence is you have a thought. You have a thought. God forbid you go out, you walk out on Eglinton, you get hit by a bus, they cut you open, do they find your thought? No, it's gone, right? There's no thought. So that's the first level of existence, you have a thought. Second level of existence, you have a thought. You write it down on your worksheet. God forbid you go out on Eglinton, you get hit by a bus, right? They could find your thought. It is on a sheet somewhere in a filing cabinet somewhere, right? It does exist. Third level of existence, I have a thought. I share it with someone. Now that person, that thought is now real for them about me. And when I'm with them, that thought exists together as a contact. I'm really interested in the VP marketing role. Now every time, what's your name, I'm sorry?
Krista.
Every time Krista is there, she thinks she's got interested in marketing role. And when you start sharing things, things start becoming more real for you, right? It's the difference between, I think I'm going to ask her to marry me, and asking her to marry me. You guys know the difference, right? So all of a sudden, I was on a scale, just like freaking out when I asked April to marry me, this, that, and then I asked, and then there's a whole world emerges as a result of that. So there's the thinking about, but then there's the conversation. Has it really become real? And that's where we're about to go now, is starting to initiate and encourage you to start having conversations with people about what you're now starting to discover. And shifting from a theoretical exercise to actually bringing it to be real for you in your life. So, here's what we're going to do. This is what we call the inner circle. The inner circle, the distinction called inner circle. So go to page 2 on your worksheets. Page 2 on your worksheets. And so, here's what I like to do. So your inner circle, when we think about the inner, let's leave it here. So the inner circle, on the top left-hand corner of page 3 there, page 2 rather, on the inner circle piece. Mines are attached here. So let's just have a super quick conversation about what might be some characteristics or circumstances of someone being in your inner circle. We think sort of generally about people in an inner circle. What are some characteristics, qualities, traits? Let's just do a quick share as a group and capture as we go.
Trust.
What's that? You trust them. Fantastic. Write that down. Trust. Very good. What else?
Good listener.
They're a good listener. Yeah, very good. That's really, really great. What else?
Just clicking. Sometimes that you have to just click.
Yeah, there's a click, right? That can really, it's a click. So there's some kind of connection of some kind. Really good. What else?
Experience.
In what way? What do you mean?
Well, they have experience you want to gain from. Wisdom. Experience.
Very good. They could have experience. Have experience that you're looking for. Lovely. Nice build there, Brian. What else?
Common goals.
Common goals. Sorry, is that you?
Yeah.
Sorry, we don't have the voices
Wrong.
yet. Yeah, it's great. So common goals, in what sense? What do you mean?
It can be a way to bind individuals together and to collaborate.
Yeah, if you and I both have a similar objective, then yeah, so very good. So they could have common goals. Now, all of the things that we're putting down here are coulds, not necessary for everything, right? I could have someone who's been in my inner circle who doesn't have common goals, but someone who does could be a whole different type of relationship. That's really good. What else?
Influence.
What do you mean?
So they might have influence over resources or connections, open doors.
Nice. You want to capture this one. Most people don't think about this one. Love this, right? Influence, right? Another word I have down here is connect, right? They can connect you, right? They can influence, but they can also connect. Now, not every inner circle member has to have influence or connect, just like not every inner circle member has to have the same goals. That's one of the qualities. Anything else? Shared values, yeah, very good. Shared values, that could be there. Again, not necessary for sure, but it's certainly nice when it's there, isn't it? So when we look at the folks in inner circle, people that are in there, we have a whole bunch of things. Here's one way we kind of summed it up, and you guys have talked about it in some ways. I did it in a way that's sort of maybe a little slightly memorable, right? So inner circle members, they care, right? They give a damn in some way about you and what you're up to. So they care. They're also capable in some way, right? Whether it's they have certain experience or they have certain skills that perhaps you don't have. So there's a level of capability that you don't have that they do have. They also coach, right? We talked about being a great listener, right? So these are people that will ask great questions, they will listen, and the next one is they'll also challenge. This one often doesn't come up. You want to look out for inner circle members that challenge you, not just people that are your friends, right? Because sometimes when it's just about people I love or people that I feel comfortable with, you don't get the push, right? Because we're comfortable together. So part of inner circle, when you guys start embracing people that perhaps are different, right? That have challenge and will challenge you. If you're going to hang out with people you're comfortable with, you're going to be in the couch zone the whole time, right? You want to have these other qualities as well too. And the last one, building on what Derek had said earlier, they can connect, right? Or they can influence things. You want to have people in your world that can connect you to opportunities, influence, make introductions, whatever that happens to be. So now what you're going to do, you're now going to get a chance to start evaluating for yourself, well, if that's kind of the qualities I might be looking for, who might be some possibilities? Who might be some people that I could start thinking about being part of my inner circle? So just below where you were writing there on page 2, bottom left-hand corner, you're now speculating on possibilities, right? You're not committing to anything, you're just speculating, okay? So given what we just created as those characteristics, who are some people who get my career driver? So it's actually 2 filters here. One is past. So people maybe you've connected with in the past or currently, but there's also a future filter on as well too, right? So people who get my career drivers, we talk about clicking, that may be part of it, or have similar career drivers, right? Both past or maybe in the future, like I don't have a relationship with them now, but maybe I want to, I don't have them yet. Or I admire them for some reason, right? I admire them, a capability, both either currently I have a relationship or not. And likewise, people that might support me. Maybe they currently support me, or I'd like to have them support me in the future. Okay? So you can do this exercise on your own. I'm giving you about 3 or 4 minutes. So you literally can you can write down names or initials if you want. It doesn't matter to me. You're just right now speculating and taking inventory of possibilities. Any questions? Awesome. I'll give you 3 or 4 minutes on your own. Off you go. Okay, very good. So you've got a list. These are possibilities. Just possibilities. Some are really clear and maybe already in that space. Some are not. Some might not even know you exist. Right? That's okay. These are just possibilities right now. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go to the right-hand side of the page. Now we're going to start evaluating your current inner circle. Right? Who are those people that are in your inner circle? And there's 2 ways of evaluating it. One is on the quality of the relationship, right? The quality. So someone who have high quality relationship, high trust, either you connect often or when you connect, we're really open, we're really supportive of each other, we really give a damn. Those things that we talked about, they care, they coach, they challenge, right? They maybe connect, right? So they're higher on those particular qualities. Right? And it's maybe medium, they're not even going to be on this list if it was low, right? And likewise, the other matrix is, the other vertex rather, is importance to your success, right? So my mom, just spoke with her yesterday, I have a really high quality relationship with my mom. Not that important for my career success, other than the fact she birthed me and raised me, which I'm eternally grateful for, right? But as far as my career success, she's way back over here. So when we look at the people that you're on your list, whoops, go the wrong way. The first quadrant, I call them your close personal supporters. These could be your close friends, not at work or otherwise. High quality relationship, not that strategically important as far as career goes. Down here on the lower left-hand side, low quality relationship, lower quality importance for success. I call them colleagues of convenience. right? These are the people you're on the project team with because that's how the project team was put together, and you interact operationally, but it's just strategically, click-wise, all the other stuff, not that important for what you're doing for your career. Far right-hand side, lower right-hand side, high importance for your success, low quality. So I call these people untapped gold, or admired from afar. These are the people that you admire for whatever reason. Gosh, they're so damn smart, right? Or I really love the way they do this or that. But we haven't actually made any step towards creating a relationship with them because the quality is low. So low quality, I haven't reached out, I haven't created. The top right-hand corner, this is your professional inner circle as it stands right now. You have high quality relationship, they're strategically important. These are the people that are clearly important for where you're at and where you want to go, that you already have relationships with. So here's what I'm going to have you do. I'm going to give you a chance now to go and, given the list of names or initials you have on the left-hand side, now plot them on the right-hand side. So you can plot them. Where do you think they fit as far as the quality of relationship and the importance to success? Maybe use their initials or whatever it is. So I'm going to give you 2 or 3 minutes to do that now. Plot them. Where do they fit strategically for you? Take a moment to do that now. Okay. So you're about to have a conversation with your partner about this, but before we get there, just a quick little piece around strategy, right? Around strategy. So given that they're plotted in this particular way, what strategy do you want to have for these people, right? If you don't have a strategy, you're the cork in the ocean, just hanging out, waiting for someone to tap you on the shoulder for something, right? Kind of a hopeful strategy. Hope is not a strategy. Not a strategy. Okay? So the first thing, so close personal supporters, you want to enjoy them outside of work, right? Enjoy them, my goodness, right? They're people in your life, my gosh, right? So keep enjoying them. My mom's not going anywhere, not anytime soon anyway. Colleagues of convenience, you want to minimize the time that you invest there, right? It's not valid from a career development standpoint. Who do I want to start spending more time with are the people over the untapped gold, right? Strategically, it's going to take you holding back, just putting your head down and pounding out work, and actually start to do something about it, right? Investing in that relationship in some way, reaching out, having a conversation, grabbing a coffee, whatever that happens to look like for you. And then finally, professional inner circle, you want to continue to nurture these people. Some of you have people up here by default, right? It's my boss, we happen to have a good relationship, but to be honest, I'm not that strategic with them, right? So part of it, how do I nurture that relationship more than what I might be doing, be more mindful and strategic around it, as opposed to just having it be there by virtue of title or frequency. So here's what I'm going to have you do, and have you go to top left right-hand corner of that same page, given all the people that you plotted, right, on your chart, given all the people that you plotted, I'm going to have you pick your top 5. So who are the top 5 people that strategically you want to be focusing on, or important, or investments for you? So write their name down. Why are you writing their name down? What might they provide? What might you be interested in for them for? And then what action might you take? What new action might you take to move that conversation forward? So I give you 2 minutes, bottom right-hand corner of that same page. You're now going to get a chance to pick someone in the room, right? Not the person you're next to, someone else. You're going to pick someone else. Someone who's going to be your buddy for the rest of the session today, but also for the next 30 days. So who in the room would you be willing to support them in having conversations around their career so that they're having the impact they want to have, and in turn they're supporting you and doing the same thing? So I'm going to have you stand up. Anyone in this room would be awesome, of course, so stand up. Okay. Here we go. So what we're going to do, we're going to go back to same questions, right? These questions are actually pretty interesting. All you do is shift the context. Part of what we're looking to do is we're looking to ingrain with you. When we designed this program originally, we had 3 sets of questions. One for drivers, one for strengths, one for other pieces. And when we drilled it down and we really looked at the whole process, it was actually a very similar process. And so what we did is we made it even simpler and distilled it down to a single card. And so what we're looking to do in part today, guys, is have you practice this same set of questions. After you create an insight, after you've done that, it's really, well, gosh, what did you learn? What was most useful, right? We have forcing the person to reflect about what it was. So you're now going to have the same questions, but about a different conversation, this time around the career drive, or not the career drive, around the inner circle. So given what you just did in the exercise around the inner circle, You're gonna go through the questions. So what stood out for you? Oh my gosh, I'm spending no time strategically developing any relationships in my entire network. What the hell am I doing? You know, like that much, like, gosh, it's like that kind of stood out for me, right? And what else? And what else? Okay, cool. And what was useful about that? It's like, oh, I should really be focusing on blah, 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 blah. Well, what does success look like? Well, I really want to have a relationship with so-and-so and blah, 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 and I could be doing this. And what else could I look like? And blah, blah, blah. And what else could I look like? Blah, blah, blah. Right? What questions or gaps emerge? I need this. Again, you're just going to go through the process. Linger on which of these gaps are most important when you think about the relationships, and what else? What other pieces? When you think about that top 5, which ones are most important, and what else, and what else? Okay, so you're going to go through the same process, but again, the context is just inner circle. I'm going to give you 60 seconds to capture what did you get out of that conversation with that person. What opened up, what showed up, because often the conversation stimulates other thinking or other actions. So I'm going to give you a minute just to capture that. You can do it 1 or 2 places. On page 4, where it says with relationships, a place where you can take actions on page 4. Maybe it's inner circle pieces there. The other place you can capture is where you had your inner circle. Depending on how much you put down on your top 5 section as far as actions go there, you can record it on page 2. Right? So bottom right-hand corner of page 2 is another place depending on how much stuff you've written. I'm going to point you to a function that's available in the app. We're not going to do it in the app, but I want to point you to it. Okay, so don't pull out your phones because it'll just take too much time all the time. But I want you to know about this functionality. So one of the things you can do is you have a little, like point to it very briefly at the beginning, an inner circle element in your app. And what it allows you to do is you actually put people into your inner circle. Well, it's like, well, that's not particularly useful, right? Put their name, email address, assign their role. What it allows you to do is it allows you to send your drivers or your strengths to them. Now, it doesn't send your data to them. So let's say Keith is part of my inner circle. I want to get some feedback from Keith on what he thinks my drivers might be or my strengths if I'm working on that. I can enter Keith in my inner circle, right? Keith, email address, the role, maybe he's my boss, whatever it is. And then once you do that, you can actually send Keith a link to my, let's say, strengths or drivers. Keith is going to get an email, right? An email basically saying, hey, it's Jamie here. Would you mind giving me some feedback about what you think my drivers are? And as a unique link to my profile, he doesn't see my data, but he gets his input gets connected to my profile. So he's going to go swipe, 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 just like you did for yourself. And then he or she is going to get an email with, and they can enter insights and actions for you. He's going to get an email summarizing his feedback for me, and his feedback goes into my profile, right? Now when we sit down, this gets really interesting. If I want to sit down and have a conversation with Keith, the last piece is we have a conversation element as well too. And what that conversation piece does, when you click it, I can click, who do I want to have a conversation with? I click it, I can pick from the inner circle list, whatever it happens to be, and I'm going to pick Keith. I can pick a topic, maybe it's drivers, and if it's drivers, it's going to pull up his data, it's going to pull up my data, all the insights and actions, and I can choose whether or not I'm going to email that to him or just use it as a prep document for me. Now when we come to the conversation, I've got a bunch of your insights, I've got my insights. Now when we have the card, consider your collective data. What stood out for you? What was most useful? And what else? And what gaps are emerging? So now when you sit down, when your employee comes to you, or you're going to your boss, or your inner circle member, you've got very specific things to talk about. So that's included in the app, that functionality, okay? So we're not going to do it now, but that's a piece where you can go and enter in your top 5 and start sending them pieces at some point to start getting some feedback on them.